I wanted to put the date out there again, January 17th, 2021. It's been about 2 weeks since the Capitol riots. And frankly, today is going to be kind of an angry day. And that's why I wanted to put that out there, because that's what stemmed the conversation that I told my dad we would have today. So I've prepared about 2.25 pages of literally prepared notes that I'm just going to go on a rant here for a second. And then we'll go down the line, and Dad's got a notepad ready to dissect whatever I say. Um, but
Well, we don't always necessarily agree,
no,
which is, I mean, I think that's healthy. We've always done that. But, you know, you told me the subject matter loosely, what we'd be talking about. I'm like, okay, because we try to do this spontaneously. We don't really we don't script anything. So, you know, what you get is the good, bad, and the ugly with it. So sorry, I just wanted to make that clear. When you said that, this is what we'd be talking about, it was a subject, not necessarily a subject with, okay, this is what we want to say about it, as
right.
always.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever actually prepared comments, because normally
Yeah.
it's just how we discuss. So with that, I'm gonna say this is not a knee jerk or an emotional reaction. Well, it is somewhat emotional, but it's very thought out. It's not just something that I whipped out and I decided this is what I think. I've been working on it since Monday. Normally we record these episodes on Sundays, so it's been a full week of kind of preparation and a thought process behind it. And I think I can safely assume that I speak for a large population of the agricultural community when I say, we continue to be attacked and we're sick and tired of it. So here we are. And specifically from us at the Hashknife Ranch, here is our message. And then the rest of it will be what my take is on it. Our message is that we're here to educate and inform, to share our knowledge about agriculture and livestock so that others understand how they get their food and the cost both financially and existentially. That's it. That's that simple. We want others outside the rural America to understand why we may be rigid in our ways and conservative in nature. It's because we are trying to preserve a way of life that is quickly dying away. Would you agree with that statement right there?
Well, yeah, I don't think it's passively dying. I think it's being actively killed.
Yeah, that's probably also accurate. But
And it's not
that's
a
our
way.
message.
Yeah, it's not just a way of life. It's a heritage that's been passed from generation to generation.
Yeah,
And sometimes we are, you say, strict in the way we do things. It's because that's how you have to be. I mean, otherwise you can't just willy nilly say, "Hey, cows, I don't feel like feeding you today, or I don't feel like taking care of you, so you're on your own. Well, I'll
right.
pick you up next week." That is, you can't do that.
Yeah, but I would say for the most part, our message is that we're here to educate and inform, and this is why we're so upset about it, because it seems like nobody has a voice to be able to say what we're saying. So even though we only have a few subscribers now, hopefully someday we can get this message out there and get people to understand. Um, so with that, some days it's going to be dark that when we talk about things, and others lighthearted and fun. Like I said, today is kind of a dreary day. It seems like this is becoming more frequently recently, and maybe that's because of what's happening to us in the world right now. Frankly, I'm really upset. I'd like to say some stronger language, and I know my dad would too. But we try to keep this as family friendly as possible, so we will refrain as much as we can. As Americans, we continue to tell ourselves farmers and ranchers do not deserve things, or they're acting entitled, especially when it comes to asking for fair prices for products and livestock. I think that's a concept that's probably due to a mostly uninformed political stance right now. However, that seems to be acceptable, that we can burn our cities all summer long and cap it off by storming and rioting our own nation's capital. And I don't want this twisted. It's both sides of the aisle, not just one, that I blame for all of this. And then we turn around and begin to see things where proponents of one ideology claim our food producers are to blame for all this illegal and harmful activity. That's what started all of this. Let me ask a rhetorical question to all those out there. Did you or do you enjoy telling your cook or the guy behind the counter that he or she's a criminal or potential scum of the earth before you eat that snot filled salad, steak, or sandwich? If you are that anti cattleman, farmer, rancher, then I suggest you stop buying their, and I would specifically say our products. That means glue, clothing, medical products and supplies, soaps, deodorants, and not to mention the primary resource, food. Sooner or later, you will find starvation, and your uncomfortable existence is not worth fighting us. But then by that point, the only farming and ranching that will exist will be in large factories, and grass fed anything will be a complete joke. You think we have issues with factory farming now? Just wait until you destroy what we are in the here and the now. Now, here's where it started with this prepared rant. I saw a Twitter thread of 4 tweets from an environmental advocate. If you don't know what Twitter is, talk to the President of the United States.
He can't tell you. He can't respond.
The
Other issue.
this advocate is out of the UK, and he produced a film called, wait for it, Apocalypse Cow. Here's what he tweeted, and I quote you. The militias who led the attack on the Capitol were to a large extent built and emboldened by anti-environmental campaigns, largely on behalf of ranchers. This is important and shouldn't be forgotten. End quote. All right. This was written in conjunction with a retweet of The Guardian, which The Guardian, if you're not familiar, is a London-based newspaper. So I don't know why they give a hoot and a holler about anything happening in America, but here we are. And the article was titled, Capitol Attackers Have Long Threatened Violence in Rural American West. And that was dated the 9th of this month, 9 January 2021. So I'll get to the article, but first the thread. And again, the thread is a series of tweets. And this one happened to be 4 of them. And I want to make sure to be clear that the 4 points from the Twitter thread build upon the article. It was this guy's take on it and what he wanted to embolden his position with. And here's the 4 points that I summarized. The first one is cattlemen have denied the impact of cattle on the environment. No, we haven't. There's the first page. Number 2, cattle ranching is rebranded as regenerative farming. Okay, I'll say what I wrote and I'll go from there. I would love to see what he specifically meant on the article by this. But if you mean we try to get the most bang from our buck, so to speak, and we still try and take care of the land, then absolutely. Because regenerative farming, if you look it up, is something where you're trying to help the ground not only nourish itself and continue to build upon itself and be healthy and be holistic, but it lengthens the prosperity that you can get from the land. It's literally what it is in the word regenerative farming. It's trying to be one where you take care of the land, because guess what? The land takes care of you. And that's exactly what we do. 3, the greenhouse impact claims of ranching are misleading. All right. Thank you. Please tell me more about all the cities and all of the millions of people and how you mislead the public on the annual emissions that come out of those every single year. Number 4. We'll get there. Number 4. He finishes with this quote, and here it is. He says, there is and the quote starts, grim nexus developing, far-right militias, white supremacists, climate deniers, and cattle ranchers whose claims are being boosted by the makers of naive and unscientific documentaries for Netflix. Please. All right. For the article, again titled, here's the title, Capitol Attackers Have Long Threatened Violence in Rural American West. And it was published from The Guardian. I recommend anybody go out and read it and at least get an idea of what we're talking about. And here's the 3 things that I summarized from it. It talked about 2 specific groups, the 3%ers and the Oath Keepers. I wasn't familiar with either of them particularly, so I did a quick Google just like a good American does. And I found out they are supposed to be anti-government militia groups that are also considered paramilitary, far right-wing. And then, of course, why not? Because they're right-wing, we're going to say that they're white supremacists as well. So I don't know what is accurate and what is not when it comes to the media. Maybe these guys are white supremacists. I don't know. And maybe Dad knows from his former law enforcement. But I have to take everything with a grain of salt. So I'm just going to assume, let's just go with the assumption that they're right and that these guys are anti-government, white supremacists, whatnot. These guys, the 3%ers and the Oath Keepers, 2 specific groups, have come to the aid of ranchers, miners, and loggers on public lands specifically. So okay, that's fine. My question is, first of all, why? What's their ulterior motive? Is it because they're there to try and make a standoff with the government? Are there backdoor deals going on with these groups between ranchers, miners, and loggers and them, or are they just trying to take advantage of the situation? And then another question is, why are those groups, ranchers, loggers, miners specifically, on the public land in the first place? Is it because they're doing a lease and it's beneficial for all parties involved? What is it? That's a very misleading point to just throw out there, that these groups come to the aid of other people. You got to give more facts than just throwing that out there. It talks about the Bundy issues, the Bundy family out of Nevada and Oregon. I acknowledge all those guys have not done a good job of trying to resolve issues in a diplomatic or a civilized manner, and it's cost people lives. And then finally, they've had there was a statement that he wrote, and it said, in quotes, Bundy's cows continue to roam freely, trampling the fragile desert escape, and he has yet to pay the fines he owes. Okay, why does he owe the fines? Why is he on a fragile desert escape? Is he just taking the ground and grazing it until there's nothing left? Or is it just a really bad piece of ground and that's the only place he can put his cows? There's more to it than just that statement. You can't just say things like that and leave it like that, especially when you're out of London and you have no idea how the land works here. All right, so now I'll fully provide you my background, because everybody's going to come at me and say, well, you are a white male, you're a white supremacist, blah, blah, blah. No, here's my background.
You got a bald head. It's obvious.
Yeah, I'm a skinhead. There you go. Here's my arguable bias. I'm a white male who serves in the military, owns firearms, grew up in an agricultural family, and in the middle of nowhere, Montana. Until I went to college, I had very little racial interactions with anybody other than Native Americans and white people. That was it. That's me. Now, to also,
not by choice. That's not by choice. That's because of where we happen to be.
Yes, correct. Now here's my take on everything that I just threw out there. I'm angry because people like this environmentalists have attacked me, my family, my heritage, and my lifestyle, just like many others, because they think they have it all figured out, when the rest of us, meanwhile, being cattle, farmers, ranchers, are evil by what we do just for surviving from year to year. And I don't exaggerate when I say we survive. I'm not exaggerating that. You want to talk about a thankless job and a thankless existence? You're looking at examples right here on the screen. We are part of the 2% of America who feeds our nation and the rest of the world. The number is getting whittled away, and like my dad said, it's systematically getting killed year after year. So, after I composed myself from the initial rage that I saw, I asked this question, and here it is. In the technological day and age we have now, why are farmers and ranchers still seen as the bad guys? I don't have the answer. So, with that, we'll start there. And the things that we can discuss to stay on track today, what are the real impacts we have on the land? What are the real impacts animals have on the environment? And then, as I alluded to earlier with one of the points earlier, greenhouse gases. The greenhouse gases of cows in the rural world, how do you compare those to the greenhouse gases in vehicles in urban cities? I don't know. You saw what happened when people stopped driving to work and stopped commuting this last year during the COVID lockdowns. Everything cleared up. Everybody kept saying, look at how beautiful the landscape is. Look at how beautiful LA is, New York, Italy, France. They kept across the world. India. Well, that was one of the biggest impacts was India. If you look at some of those big cities there and how much the smog was just gone, it was beautiful. And guess what? The American West never looks like that. So it proved to me that your daily existence, along with millions of others in cities, is not worse than the cows in an open field in the heartland of North America.